This is part 2 of my series on the ultimate guide, the step-by-step roadmap to writing, publishing, and launching a successful nonfiction book this year. Now, part 2 is going to be about how you can create a nonfiction book outline in 30 minutes. My goal of this video for you specifically is to be able to create an entire framework of your future book in a short amount of time. And if you follow the steps that I'm going to teach you in this exact video, you should be able to put together a basic outline, which will then be able to be elaborated on with your team, the company that you work with, your publisher, or whomever it is. But this will be a great way to get you started, to build an outline for a book that will convert on the back end for whatever your goal is, whether that's legacy, impact, lead generation, speaking engagements, coaching clients, consulting clients, physical products, or whatever it is that you're looking to achieve on the back end of this book. Now, my name is Jake Kelfer, and I'm a 4-time best-selling author. I've turned my book into multiple successful business, speaking businesses, coaching businesses, and now book publishing space where we actually run a company called Big Idea to Bestseller. And we are a full-service book publishing company designed to help entrepreneurs and experts write, publish, launch, and market nonfiction books for back-end business growth and impact. So let's start talking about outlining our book. And I want to go over a couple quick rules that I have to really help you not get stuck on the outlining process, not get stuck with the imposter syndrome, not get stuck on if this makes sense for you. So the process we're going to go over is what we've coined and created called the Avengers process to outline your book. Now, a couple of the rules. Number 1, don't overthink your outline. If you think it, write it. The goal of this is to get the content and the experiences and the memories out of our head and onto the page. We can't write a book if we don't have the material in front of us. So this is a great way to pull things out because it's going to help speed up our process down the road. You don't have to be perfect. Your outline will be ever evolving and always come back to your reader. Okay? So if I were to boil this all down and I were to really, really think about this when it comes to creating a really, really great outline, it's take what's in here, write it down, and then evolve it. Now, one of the biggest questions that people always ask me when it comes to outlining the book is, do I need to be super detailed on my outline or can I have it be more generic? And the answer to that is it entirely depends on you, your style, and also how efficient you are. And most importantly, have you already tried something and it hasn't worked yet? Because if what you've already done hasn't worked, then I want you to try the opposite approach. Here's the different types of outlines. Outline 1 is for the person that likes to have more detail and likes to be able to flush things out a lot more in depth early on. Option 2 is you create an outline that's a little bit more generic, and here's how this may look. If you are including a story from your personal life and you want to be more detailed, you would write the concept of that story, the high-level overview, and then you'll write out a bunch of bullet points in the order of which you would tell that story. That's going to help you really flush it out a little bit, and then all you're going to do when you write your rough draft, turn that into sentence form. The other side of it is for the people that are like, you know what? I know this story. I don't need to flush it out any further. I know I'm going to write about it. I can just spit it out. Maybe you give keynote talks and you want to tell a story from the keynote talk in your book. So you would just say on your outline, story about XYZ from keynote. You, if you give keynotes all the time, can easily just type that out. It really just depends on your style. Let's get into how to outline your book. Now, we use a process called the Avengers process to outlining your book because I want to make book writing more fun. And I love superheroes, and I think if we can be superheroes, we can help a lot of great people. And so the first stage of the outlining process is the Spider-Man phase. And this is the education side of your book. You're going to share everything that you can teach on your particular book topic. And the way you're going to do this is you're going to break it down into a few key components. You're going to build a spider web of thoughts. So think of it as like this. You're going to have your core idea in the middle. You're going to have thoughts around it, and you're going to build this spider web. Strongest parts in the middle, your book topic, and then you're going to build around it. And so the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to start with your main topic. You're going to list all things related to your main topic, and then you're going to organize each of those by commonalities. So let me break down and show you what I mean by this. When I am writing Big Idea to Bestseller, what I did was in the middle, I was writing the core idea, which was how to write, publish, and launch a nonfiction book. And then what I did was I created the branches all around the main idea, and I listed everything that I could possibly teach around how to write, publish, and launch a book. So I wrote about how to find your idea, how to validate your idea, how to outline your book, how to write your rough draft, what stories to include, how not to how not to market your book, what to say when you're getting ready to launch a book, how to find an editor, how to find a designer, how to find a formatter, questions to ask editors before hiring them. And I just made a bunch of things, and I just set a timer. You could do a 5-minute timer, a 10-minute timer, or even a Pomodoro method, which is a 25-minute timer. At the end of that, what you want to do is you want to review all the things that you've just kind of jotted down on this page, and you want to organize them by commonalities. Because what you're going to find is that you're going to have a few things that will be overlapping. That's great. These become supporting points to a bigger topic. So for example, if I was to write down a bunch of things on how to find your idea, how to validate your idea, how to outline your book, how long should your book be, all of those things are related to each other. So I would organize those and put those all under one particular topic. And you will see in my book, Big Idea to Bestseller, when I walk through this in a lot of depth, I actually showcase exactly how we go about doing this, and you'll be able to see what that looks like. So that's the Spider-Man phase. You're really just trying to write down everything that you can teach on your particular topic. This is everything that you've learned from all the shit that you've gone through, and this is everything that you can teach, whether you're already getting paid to do it or whether you want to get paid to do this thing. Frameworks, methodologies, educational material, this was where that goes. The second thing that you're going to do is you're going to go into the Ant-Man phase. And the Ant-Man phase is all about the entertainment around your book. Because great nonfiction books aren't just textbooks. They interweave the author's story and the emotional side of things to make you feel relatable, to make you believe them, to make you believe yourself that you can achieve that. And the way you do that is you create a series of lists around your main topic. So just like we did before, we're going to list all things related to your main topic. Now you're going to list stories and personal experiences related to your main topic. You're going to list key problems you solve related to your main topic. You're going to list testimonials of people that you've helped related to your main topic. And when you do this, and again, 5-minute, 10-minute, 25-minute timers. But when you do this, what you're going to find is you're going to be able to pull out stories that maybe you haven't thought about. And you're going to be able to put them on the page. You're going to think back and be like, oh gosh, I was so inspired by this influencer or this person. You're going to take that and you're going to include that in the list inspiration, research, and stats part. You're going to be like, gosh, there's a stat that has resonated with me my entire life. You're going to put that right in there. And this is going to allow you to create the entertainment side of everything. So now you're going to have the Spider-Man phase, which is everything that you can teach in the book. And then you're going to have your Ant-Man phase, which is everything that you're going to entertain people with in the book. Now, when I say entertainment, it's not always necessarily got to be super, super happy stuff. This could be real, raw, vulnerable stories and everything. But the biggest thing to share here, and here's a pro tip, is don't think of your life just as one long story. Break up pieces of it into bite-sized stories that make up your life and business. So instead of saying, when I was 22 and everything that happened there, pick the one core thing in that year of 22 that is relevant to your main topic. Because your life is long. Whether you're 15 or whether you're 50 or whether you're 100, you have a lot of life that you've already lived. And if you wrote everything about yourself, the books would be super, super long. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to share the stuff that's most relevant to the reader, and we'll talk about that. The third part of the process here, the third part of the process is the Iron Man part. And what you're going to do in the Iron Man part is you're going to take the Spider-Man phase, the spider web of thoughts, and you're going to combine it with the Ant-Man phase, the list of all the stories and the entertainment part of the book. And what you're going to do is you're going to take those two and you're going to start plucking one from each and you're going to start putting them together in order to create a chapter by chapter outline. And here's how this works. This is a very, very simple framework for what a chapter is done. And if you look at books like Atomic Habits by James Clear, my book, Big Idea to Bestseller, what you'll see is that there's often a formula in these books. And they don't always go in this exact order. Sometimes they go in reverse order. Sometimes they mix up the order. Sometimes they do one, then the next, and then the next. But ultimately, they all follow these similar things because the best nonfiction books that I have seen and that I've personally read are the ones that interweave great stories and anecdotes to make you feel like you're on this adventure with them and that you possibly can do what they have done, what the author's done. But at the same time, you get this tactical information that allows you to actually know what to do and solve the actual problem and why you picked up the book in the first place. And so the way that you're going to do this is you're going to have your chapter topic, and then you're going to have a quote if you want one, and then you're going to do a story, a lesson, message, and a call to action. And this is how you're going to be able to take and create a basic book outline. So for example, let's kind of look at this. If I was writing a book on how to sleep better, okay, let's use this. And one of the topics that I was going to say is to create your nighttime routine. Well, then there would probably be a quote. I don't have it right now off the top of my head, but I would find a quote that serves why a nighttime routine is great. Maybe it's a stat, maybe it's a quote from a leading authority in that space. And I'd see, maybe I would just skip the quote. Totally up to you. And then I would start that off by telling a story about how I never had a nighttime routine. I would be on my phone all night long, and then I would turn my phone off and I would just go straight to bed, and then I couldn't fall asleep ever. And then once I made this change of setting up my nighttime routine and realizing it's just as important as my morning routine, then I started to sleep a lot better. That would be like the story maybe I'd start off with, and I'd go into depth, focusing on the details and helping people really think about that experience, because if they share that experience, it becomes really, really valuable. And then I would share the lesson and the message. Well, the lesson and the message in this particular instance would be, what did I learn that now allows me to be a really, really great sleeper, specifically with my nighttime routine? And so maybe that would be, I would talk about the things that I do. I don't drink water after a certain amount of time. I don't eat after a certain amount of time. If I'm drinking alcohol, this is when I stop and this is what I do. No TV or screens before this many time. And I would just kind of write out the things that I've done and kind of teach those things that help me build a better nighttime routine so that I could be a better sleeper. And then I would have next steps. The next steps in this case could just be read the next chapter. The next steps might be here's a free resource, or maybe if you talk about meditation, it could be here's a link to a meditation I created to help you sleep better and wind down from your day so your mind's not racing at night, right? This is how you would go about creating a chapter by chapter outline for your book. Now, super, super important note to make is that most nonfiction books that are written by authors who are seeking to achieve something on the back end are not chronological. Even if you include your personal story, the best way to do it is to focus on the stories that are most relevant to the reader and the lessons you aim to teach. So there are a lot of things in your life that you've experienced that maybe are emotional, maybe that are real, maybe that are have massive, massive meaning. But if they're not relevant to the reader for the book that you're writing now, then those stories you don't need to include, right? And here's the thing, if you think about it all around, right? A reader's picking up a book because they want to solve their problem. They would love to know how you solved the problem for yourself and what they can learn from you. But they don't want to know the order of your entire life, because that's why you had the problem in the first place. Your entire life, you were doing one thing. And so if you wrote your book in the order of which your life experienced, well, it's not going to help the reader as much as if you teach the reader the order of which would actually help the reader the most. Let me give this an example to break this down. When I wrote my first book, I did a little bit of everything, and I did all types of different stories. I tried every single thing, and I went in all these different orders, and it took me a lot longer and a lot more money than I wanted to spend. Now, when I write a book about how to write a book, instead of just telling them the order of which I did to my first book, I teach it in the order that's most relevant to the reader so that the reader can write a book faster and save themselves more money versus how I did it, which was not the right way. Okay? Because often what we're doing when we're writing these books is we're teaching the person that we once were. And so we shouldn't teach the person we once were with the same way that we learned, because then we would never have changed. We want to teach the reader the way in which we've learned it so that they can have better results faster. I hope that this makes a ton of sense for you, because if you can remember this as you go through your book, it's going to take a ton of pressure off of you of what to include, when you should include it, and all of that. And you can just focus on, here's the lessons I want to teach, here's a story that's relevant, and here's how you do it. And if you could do that, you could boil down a really, really great book outline. So if you found this really valuable, I want to give you a copy of my book, Big Idea to Bestseller. All you have to do is go to bigideatobestseller.com/free-book, and you can get a free physical copy of Big Idea to Bestseller. All you got to do is just put in your information, cover the shipping, and we'll mail you a copy directly to your home. The other thing that you can do here is, if you know that writing a book is for you, and you really want to figure out how to create your outline in more depth, and you want to walk through exactly what it takes to go from outlining to writing your book, then I'd encourage you to go to bigideatobestseller.com/call and book a call with our team. Because on that call, what we're going to do is we're going to talk through your big idea. We're going to talk about the process of how you're going to go from that big idea to a best-selling book launch. And then what we're going to do is help you figure out the gaps of where you're missing and you'll have a complete roadmap on how to write, publish, launch a successful nonfiction book. So that is the episode today. That is part 2 of the series. I hope that you found this incredibly, incredibly valuable, and I can't wait to see your book outlines.